The sky over Mexico like a giant empty painting that doesn't care. Under this sky, kingdoms built on dust and fighting appear, shine for a moment, and then fall apart. Amado Carrillo Fuentes. His name was like a secret, spoken softly in dark rooms and carried by the desert wind. They called him El Señor de los Cielos. That means, the Lord of the Skies. He earned this name by being daring, with a will as strong as iron. For a time it seemed this will could bend even the air to do what he wanted. He moved like a ghost, people hardly ever saw him. There were very few pictures of him. His story grew in the shadows. He was like a ghost of great power, controlling the drug paths and twisting people's goodness. The cocaine, like a white river, flowed to the north. It was like he guided it with an invisible hand. The police looked for him, they hunted him. But he was hard to find, like a ghost in charge of his own land, always one step ahead. Or that's how it looked. The desert is good at keeping secrets. This man, he knew about modern times. He saw the old ways of moving things, using mules, using small planes. He knew they were too slow and too easy to catch. He had bigger dreams. He dreamed of whole groups of big jets, flying super high in the sky where no one down below could reach them. He was a new kind of rule breaker, a leader in illegal business. His dreams were so big they didn't just stay on Earth, they reached for the sky itself. The border, just a line drawn in the sand, meant nothing to him. He wiped it away with the white trails his planes left in the sky, and with the valuable things they carried. People wanted these things so badly they could never get enough, and he was the one who gave it to them. He was like a king in a kingdom he built himself. You couldn't see this kingdom, but it was very, very real. Its connections reached deep into countries and into the weaknesses of people. This was his world, like a big show of huge dreams and sadness that was sure to come. He was born in a place called Guamuchilito in Sinaloa. It was a place where many drug traffickers came from. It was a tough land. It made men tough, or it broke them. Young Amado watched, and he learned. His uncle was Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo, known as Don Nito. He was one of the big bosses, part of the Guadalajara cartel. A hard and cruel learning awaited him there. He was a learner in a kingdom of violence, taking in its lessons, its cold and careful plans. He wasn't a flashy person, not like some of the others. He was quiet, he watched everything, he planned carefully. Inside him, anger and big dreams were burning, but he kept them hidden. He learned the paths, the people to know, how to pay bribes, and how to use fear to get what he wanted. Rafael Aguilar Guajardo was the boss of the Juárez Cartel. Amado worked for him, but he was waiting, like a patient hunter, for the right time to make his move. He knew the old boss would get weaker someday. Danger and death were all around him. People turning against each other was common. It was a way to get ahead. When he saw someone was weak, he used it to his advantage. Aguilar Guajardo lost his power, like all powerful men do in the end. Some people say Amado planned it, or maybe he just let it happen. We don't know the details. They are hidden, like secrets buried with the dead. What was left was a chance, an empty spot at the top, and he took it. The Juárez area was now his. He rose to power quickly, and he was very tough. He gathered all the power for himself. He got rid of anyone who stood against him very quickly and coldly. The desert land was like it was filled with the ghosts of his enemies. He wasn't just a helper anymore. He was becoming a big power all on his own. The hawk had learned to fly. Now it wanted to rule the whole sky. He was changing, from a student to the builder of a new kind of kingdom. The old ways of doing things were clumsy and dangerous. Small planes were easy to spot and easy to shoot down. Amado saw another way, a path high up in the sky. He imagined a whole group of planes. Not small sputtering planes, but big Boeing 727 jets. These were old passenger planes turned into giant carriers for drugs. They could carry tons of drugs, not just a few pounds. This was a whole new way of smuggling. It was so bold it shocked his enemies and the police. These jets, they drew invisible lines of business across the sky. Cocaine from Colombia flew high above the radar. It landed on secret runways in the Chihuahua Desert or other hidden places. The planes got more fuel, were loaded up again, and the drugs moved north like a giant wave of white powder. His new idea was astonishing. It was huge and very complex to organize. He was like a factory owner of illegal things, a boss of crime. Every flight was a big risk worth millions of dollars. Over time it was billions. He paid for protection. He paid people to keep quiet. He paid off everyone, from the workers on the ground to people in very high places. His group of helpers was huge and complicated. It was like a web of cheating, held together by money and fear. The jets became his special sign, El Señor de los Cielos. The name now meant exactly what it said. It seemed like he owned the skies for a short, wonderful time. Nothing like it had ever been done before. He made his enemies look small. He changed all the rules of the game. The Americans and the Mexicans had a hard time understanding it and a hard time trying to stop it. He was always one step ahead. He moved tons of drugs as well as a real company moves its goods. But this company dealt in poison and in broken lives. The sky was his. But the price was very high. It was paid with people's sadness and in the end with his own ruin. When he was at his most powerful, people believed Amado Carrillo Fuentes could not be touched. He was in charge of the Juárez Cartel. It was one of the strongest crime groups the world had ever known. Money poured in like a great flood. People guessed it was $25 billion, a fortune built on a mountain of cocaine. He was like a king. What he said was the law in the secret world he ruled. His power spread like a disease through police offices, the army, and important people in government. He paid for loyalty. He made people obey him with a quiet scariness that was more frightening than open violence. But being violent was always something he could do, kept ready for when being quiet didn't work. His power was total in his world. He was like a dark star pulling everything towards him with great force. He was a puzzle. He had so much money, but he was also a prisoner because of it. He moved from one safe house to another, never staying long in one place. He was always surrounded by bodyguards. Most people didn't know what he looked like. He tried hard to stay unknown. This was his protection, like a shield or armor. But being in charge of so much, it was a heavy weight on him. There was always danger from other gangs, from the government, even from people in his own group. His position of power was shaky. The name, Lord of the Skies, was powerful. Poor people, the newspapers, and his enemies were all fascinated by it. He became a legend, like a bad guy in old stories, in a land that had many such stories. But legends are often built on things that can easily break. The higher he flew, the easier it was for those who wanted to bring him down to see him. His time as king was amazing, but it was sure to end, like all such times of power. He had fancy things all around him, but they didn't make him feel better. He had big houses all over Mexico. They were huge, but they were like ugly statues showing off money he got in bad ways. Floors made of marble, gold things on the walls, swimming pools shining in the desert sun. He had everything a man could want, all the things money could buy, but he had no peace. It was like something strange, a dream he forgot. Each big house was like a golden cage. Everything nice was a reminder of the terrible danger he was in, the feeling that someone was always after him. It was always with him like a friend who never left, a shadow that was always there. Who could he trust? His family, his closest helpers. People turning on each other was how things worked in his world. He had gotten power that way. He knew how bad it felt. Every new person he met could be someone sent to kill him. Every phone call could be someone listening in. He didn't sleep well. He kept waking up. He was troubled by the bad things he had done. And he was scared of his own death. His children, his wives, his other women. They all lived with all these fancy things, but also with a lot of fear. Did they see the real man? Or just the story about him? The one who gave them things? The monster? It was hard to tell. Because of all the power and money, things got confusing. He was a father, a husband, a lover, and a killer who showed no mercy. All these parts of him lived together, but not easily. Inside one lonely, heavy heart, he was trapped by the world he had made. It felt like the walls could hear. The servants whispered about him. His enemies made plans against him. All his money, and he had so much of it, could not buy him safety. It could not buy him people who were truly loyal. He could only buy a fake kind of loyalty, like something you rent for a day. His kingdom looked strong, but it was built on fear and wanting too much money, like a house built on sand that moves. The bottom parts were always falling apart, slowly. You couldn't see it at first, then faster and faster, moving towards the end that had to come. Scene 6. The cracks in the Crystal Kingdom. The people in Colombia who gave him drugs started to worry. He was too much in charge. They wanted to work with other people too, to make his tight grip weaker. The Arellano Felix brothers from the Tijuana cartel, they were mean and wanted more power. They saw the Juárez group as an enemy to be destroyed. Fighting was about to start in many places. The friendships that helped build his kingdom started to break. People being loyal didn't last long. It was always for sale to whoever paid the most. Even inside his own Juárez cartel, people were starting to disagree and get angry quietly. Men below him who wanted his job saw that he was being careful and staying alone more. Maybe they thought this meant he was weak. That was a deadly mistake for many of them. But the ideas of turning against him were planted. They grew because others were jealous and because of all the trouble from outside. The kingdom he built so carefully started to show tiny cracks like weak spots. General Jesus Gutierrez Rebollo, who was Mexico's top drug fighter, was arrested. They said he was protecting Carrillo Fuentes. This was a huge scandal. It showed how much cheating there was, like a sickness deep inside the government. This was bad for Amado. His protection was weakened. The government was embarrassed, so it tried even harder to catch him. The trap was closing in on him, slowly but surely. He had fewer safe places to hide. He had fewer choices. He felt the danger getting closer, like the ground was moving under him. The sky, which used to be his, now felt heavy and scary, full of hunters he couldn't see. He was very good at getting away, at disappearing. But the world was getting smaller for him. New machines and tools were made. Countries started working together more. The old ways of disappearing didn't work so well anymore. He was like something from the past, from a time of untouchable bosses that was ending. His Crystal Kingdom was starting to break into pieces. Scene 7. Hunted from the sky, haunted from inside. The American Drug Police, the DEA and the Mexican Army put their help together. They shared information. Finding Amado Carrillo Fuentes became very important, like a big mission. His face, even though not many people had seen it, was now what they were looking for. His planes and the paths they took were being watched very closely. The skies he used to rule were now being watched by the people chasing him. His advantage of using planes was gone. He couldn't fly anymore. He had to hide in secret places, more hidden than ever. He kept moving between different countries, Argentina, Chile, Russia. There were stories, quiet talk, people saying they saw him. But none of it was ever proven true. He became like a ghost again. But this time he was a ghost being hunted, not a ghost in charge. Things got harder for his family and the people who worked with him. The police made it hard for him to use his money. All his money became a problem. It was hard to move it and hard to use it. His power got weaker. More people turned against him. People started telling secrets, popping up like bugs out of wood. They wanted rewards or hoped to get into less trouble. His closest group of helpers, which used to be impossible to get into, now couldn't be trusted. Every look, every talk, had a feeling of doubt in it. The fear he made others feel now came back to him. He was trapped, not by enemies he could see, but by memories of his past and not knowing what would happen next. People said his health got bad. The worry and always having to watch out wore him down. The Lord of the Skies was now on the run, trying hard just to stay alive. His kingdom had no leader, and it started to break into pieces. Fighting broke out among his own people. They wanted to control the rich Juárez area. The great thing he built with his smart and cruel ways was falling apart, from the inside and the outside. The end was coming close. You could almost feel it in the dry desert air. Scene 8. The last disguise, the final silence. He wanted one last way to escape, not from a country, but from being himself. Plastic surgery, it was a desperate try to change his face that everyone knew. He wanted to become someone else, anyone else, to really disappear. He went into a hospital in Mexico City, the Santa Monica Hospital. This was in July 1997. He used a fake name. He hoped the doctor's knife and strong sleeping medicine would make him disappear. The surgery was very big, taking out fat, changing his face. He was under the knife for hours. The doctors, maybe they were good doctors, or maybe they were forced. His life was in their hands. The sleeping medicine went into him. He fell asleep, hoping for a new start. But his body could only take so much. It was weak from all the stress, or maybe from something else, something given to him. What really happened is not clear. It's hidden by doubt and what the officials said. He never woke up. Amado Carrillo Fuentes, El Señor de los Cielos, died on the operating table or very soon after. The official reason: problems from the surgery, a heart attack, or a bad reaction to medicine. The news shocked everyone. People couldn't believe it. Then there was a big fight for his power. The Lord was dead. His top spot was empty. His body was quickly recognized, even though they tried to change how he looked. It seems like destiny has a dark sense of humor. His death, just like his life, became a famous story. Some people whispered that he faked his death. They said he escaped and was living quietly far away with a new face and a new life. This story kept going. People didn't trust the government, and they wanted such a big famous man to have a bigger, more exciting end. But the proof showed a very plain end for a life of crime that was not plain at all. He died quietly in a clean hospital room far from his desert kingdom. Scene 9. What he left behind, written in blood and sky. When Amado Carrillo Fuentes fell, it didn't bring peace. It started a lot of trouble, an empty space where power used to be. The Juárez Cartel broke into pieces. Terrible fights started over who would control his drug paths and his lands. The fighting got worse. New cartels started. They were meaner and more broken apart. The land he used to rule became a place of many deaths. His death didn't fix anything. It just changed the main people in a sad story that kept going. But the new things he started, they lasted. Using big jets, the smart ways of planning things, the deep cheating, these became normal. The people who came after him copied them. He had shown them how to do it, how big it could be. He made drug selling like a big business, like a factory. He was a leader in a dark way. His ways of doing things lived on after he died. It showed how smart and cruel he was. His shadow was still very big over the drug world. The story of El Señor de los Cielos still makes people very interested and very scared. Songs are sung about him, narco corridos. They sing about how bold he was, how he went against the rules. He became like a character in old tales, a sign of great power gotten by breaking the law. He was like a dangerous attraction for young men in poor places. They were looking for a way out of their hard lives, or a way into a life of quick fame and sure danger. His time in charge was like one part of a never-ending story about the drug business. This business is kept alive because people want drugs, because of cheating, and because of people's weaknesses. He was made by the world around him, and he also changed that world. He rose to power very fast, like a shooting star. His fall had to happen. The skies he once said were his are still used by new bosses, new ghosts. The desert wind still whispers names. It's like a song of those who have fallen, and those who will fall later. It all keeps going without stopping.